Before the video starts, I want to say that I created a Patreon. There you can post ideas for videos and support the channel. Each topic from the Patreon will have its own video.
Chaos cults, the cancerous growths of heresy and corruption, fester in the shadows of hive cities, forge worlds, and even Holy Terra itself. These malevolent organizations represent the ever-present danger of chaos, the ruinous powers that seek to undermine and ultimately destroy the Emperor's realm. Chaos cults are as diverse as they are numerous, each dedicated to one or more of the dark gods. Khorne, the blood god; Nurgle, the lord of decay; Tzeentch, the changer of ways; and Slaanesh, the prince of excess. Some cults worship chaos undivided, paying homage to the pantheon as a whole. Regardless of their specific allegiances, all chaos cults share a common goal: to spread corruption, weaken the Imperium from within, and pave the way for the forces of chaos to claim dominion over real space. The insidious nature of chaos cults lies in their ability to take root anywhere human weakness can be exploited. In the oppressive confines of hive cities, where billions toil in thankless labor, the promises of power and freedom offered by chaos find fertile ground. On isolated frontier worlds where imperial presence is thin, cults can grow unchecked for generations. Even in the heart of imperial power, among the nobility and administratum, the lure of forbidden knowledge and unimaginable pleasures can turn the most steadfast servants of the Emperor to the path of damnation. Chaos cults operate with a level of secrecy that rivals even the most clandestine imperial organizations. Their members often maintain the facade of loyal citizens, infiltrating every level of imperial society. From lowly hive-gangers to planetary governors, from administratum adepts to ecclesiarchy priests, no stratum of the Imperium is immune to the taint of chaos. The methods employed by chaos cults are as varied as their forms. Some focus on ritual sacrifices to summon demonic entities, while others work to undermine imperial authority through subtle manipulation of politics and economics. Many cults amass arsenals of weapons and raise armies in preparation for the day they can openly challenge imperial rule. The most dangerous cults are those with the patience and foresight to play the long game, slowly corrupting entire populations over centuries. The threat posed by chaos cults extends beyond mere physical or political danger. As servants of the ruinous powers, cultists are conduits for the malevolent energies of the warp. Their activities can weaken the barriers between real space and the immaterium, leading to psychic disturbances, demonic incursions, and in the most catastrophic cases, the birth of new warp storms that can swallow entire systems. Combating the influence of chaos cults is a never-ending battle for the Imperium. The Inquisition, particularly the Ordo Hereticus, dedicates vast resources to rooting out and eradicating these threats. Witch hunters tirelessly pursue rumors of cult activity, while Adeptus Arbites forces conduct raids on suspected cult gatherings. Despite these efforts, for every cult exposed and destroyed, countless others remain hidden, biding their time and spreading their corruption. The allure of chaos is particularly strong in times of strife and uncertainty. In the wake of galactic calamities like the fall of Cadia and the formation of the Great Rift, chaos cults have flourished as never before. The fracturing of the Imperium and the weakening of its institutions have created unprecedented opportunities for cultists to expand their influence and bring entire worlds into the embrace of chaos. As we delve deeper into the dark world of chaos cults, we will explore their origins, their methods, and the dire threat they pose to the future of humanity. From the blood-soaked rituals of Khornata war cults to the labyrinthine schemes of Tzeentchian conspiracies, from the festering plague cults of Nurgle to the decadent pleasure sects of Slaanesh, we will uncover the myriad ways in which the forces of chaos seek to corrupt and conquer the Imperium from within. In this exploration, we will witness the eternal struggle between faith and heresy, duty and temptation, order and chaos. We will see how the smallest seeds of doubt can blossom into galaxy-spanning threats, and how the fate of entire worlds can hinge on the actions of a few dedicated servants of the Emperor. For in the battle against chaos cults, there is no final victory, only eternal vigilance against the darkness that lurks within the heart of every man, woman, and child in the Imperium of man. The dark tapestry of chaos cults is woven by a diverse cast of characters, each playing a crucial role in the spread of corruption across the Imperium. At the pinnacle of these heretical organizations stand the cult leaders, charismatic individuals who have fully embraced the power of chaos. These figures vary greatly in their origins and methods, from former Imperial officials seduced by promises of power to psychers driven mad by their connection to the warp. Cult leaders often bear the marks of their devotion to the dark gods, their bodies and minds warped by exposure to chaos energies. Some maintain a veneer of normalcy to better infiltrate Imperial society, while others revel in their mutations, seeing them as signs of favor from their dark patrons. Regardless of their appearance, these individuals possess an uncanny ability to inspire loyalty and spread the taint of chaos to those around them. Beneath the cult leaders are the inner circle members, trusted lieutenants who assist in planning and executing the cult's grand schemes. These individuals might include corrupted nobles using their wealth and influence to further the cult's goals, renegade tech priests providing forbidden technology, or fallen priests of the ecclesiarchy twisting imperial doctrine to serve chaos. The rank and file of chaos cults consist of cultists, ordinary citizens who have turned from the Emperor's light to embrace the ruinous powers. These individuals come from all walks of life, united in their rejection of imperial rule and their desire for the power and freedom promised by chaos. Many cultists maintain their everyday lives as a cover, gathering in secret to perform rituals and plan acts of sabotage against imperial authorities. Sorcerers and dark apostles play a vital role in many chaos cults, particularly those dedicated to Tzeentch or Chaos Undivided. These individuals possess psychic abilities or dark knowledge that allow them to channel the powers of the warp, cast spells, and communicate with demonic entities. Their presence can dramatically increase a cult's potency, allowing for feats that seem miraculous to untrained observers and further cementing the cultists' faith in their dark patrons. In cults devoted to Khorne, champions of chaos take center stage. These fearsome warriors, often enhanced by the blood god's blessings, lead their fellow cultists in acts of violence and bloodshed. Similarly, Nurgle cults may be guided by plague priests, individuals who have embraced decay and pestilence as holy sacraments, using their diseased forms to spread contagion among the faithful and the unwitting alike. Demonic entities themselves can be considered key players in the drama of chaos cults. While full manifestation in real space is rare outside of major incursions, lesser demons or even aspects of the chaos gods may communicate with cult leaders, providing guidance, issuing commands, or bestowing gifts upon favored servants. The presence of these warp beings, even in a limited capacity, can have a profound effect on cultists and potential converts alike. On the opposing side stand the relentless agents of the Imperium, dedicated to rooting out and destroying chaos cults. Inquisitors of the Ordo Hereticus lead this eternal war against internal corruption, wielding nearly unlimited authority in their pursuit of heretics and traitors. These individuals are often accompanied by retinues of skilled operatives, including ecclesiarchy priests to provide spiritual support, Adeptus Mechanicus tech priests to uncover technological heresies, and battle-hardened soldiers to combat the physical threats posed by cultists. Witch hunters, specialized agents often working under inquisitorial authority, play a crucial role in identifying and eliminating psychic threats within chaos cults. These grim individuals are trained to recognize signs of warp taint and are equipped with tools and weapons designed to combat psychic powers and demonic entities. The Adeptus Arbites, the elite law enforcement arm of the Imperium, frequently find themselves on the front lines of the fight against chaos cults. Their investigations into criminal activities often uncover evidence of cult involvement, leading to brutal purges of heretical elements within hive cities and other Imperial settlements. Space Marine chapters, particularly those with experience combating the forces of chaos, may be called upon to deal with particularly large or entrenched cult uprisings. The sight of these superhuman warriors can inspire hope in loyal citizens while striking terror into the hearts of heretics. Ordinary Imperial citizens unwittingly play a part in this shadow war. Many find themselves caught between the oppressive rule of the Imperium and the seductive promises of chaos, their choices and actions potentially tipping the balance in this eternal conflict. Planetary governors and other Imperial officials bear the heavy responsibility of maintaining order and rooting out corruption, their success or failure often determining the fate of entire worlds. In some cases, Xenos races become entangled in the web of chaos cult activities. Eldar Farseers, with their ability to perceive future threats, may take action to neutralize cults whose activities threaten to unleash greater calamities. Conversely, opportunistic Drukhari raiders or Orc warbands may exploit the chaos caused by cult uprisings, adding another layer of complexity to an already volatile situation. As the influence of chaos cults grows, even the highest echelons of Imperial power become involved. The High Lords of Terra may dispatch entire crusade fleets to deal with large-scale heretical uprisings, while chapters of the Adeptus Astartes may take vows to eradicate particularly infamous cults. This vast cast of characters, from the lowliest cultist to the mightiest demon prince, from humble Arbites enforcers to legendary inquisitors, forms the complex ecosystem of heresy and retribution that defines the struggle against chaos cults in the 41st millennium. Each player, whether servant of the dark gods or agent of the Emperor's will, adds another thread to the intricate tapestry of conflict that stretches across the galaxy, shaping the destiny of humanity in the face of unrelenting darkness. The genesis of chaos cults can be traced back to the tumultuous era of the Horus Heresy, a galactic civil war that nearly tore the Imperium asunder. This cataclysmic event, orchestrated by the fallen Primarch Horus, exposed vast swaths of humanity to the corrupting influence of chaos for the first time. In the aftermath, as the Imperium struggled to rebuild, the seeds of heresy planted during this dark age found fertile ground in which to grow. The Emperor's ascension to the Golden Throne and subsequent veneration as a god created a paradoxical situation. While the Imperial cult preached absolute devotion to the Emperor, it also fostered an environment of unquestioning faith and dogmatic adherence to ritual. This rigidity, combined with the often harsh realities of life in the Imperium, left many citizens susceptible to the allure of alternative beliefs. The gradual decay of Imperial infrastructure and the increasing scarcity of resources on many worlds created pockets of discontent and desperation. Hive cities, with their teeming billions living in squalor, became particularly vulnerable to the whispers of chaos. The promise of power, freedom, or simply a means of survival proved irresistible to many who felt abandoned by the Imperium. Psychic awakening among the human population played a crucial role in the spread of chaos influence. As more individuals manifested psychic abilities, many found themselves ill-equipped to handle the mental strain or resist the temptations of the warp. Unsanctioned psychers, fearing persecution from Imperial authorities, often turned to forbidden knowledge and practices, unwittingly opening themselves to chaos corruption. The isolation of frontier worlds and the difficulties of maintaining consistent communication across vast interstellar distances allowed heresies to take root and flourish unnoticed. Entire populations could fall to chaos worship over generations, with the Imperium none the wiser until it was too late. The cyclical nature of conflict in the galaxy ensured a constant supply of disillusioned and traumatized individuals ripe for corruption. Veterans of endless wars, refugees from conquered worlds, and survivors of Xenos attacks all carried psychological scars that Chaos cults could exploit. The very bureaucracy meant to safeguard the Imperium often contributed to the spread of heresy. Administrative errors could leave worlds untithed and unprotected for decades, while corrupt officials might turn a blind eye to cult activities in exchange for bribes or under threat of blackmail. The Adeptus Mechanicus's obsession with lost technology inadvertently led some of its members down the path of tech heresy. The lure of forbidden knowledge and the desire to unlock the secrets of the dark age of technology drove some tech priests to dabble in sciences that bordered on sorcery, blurring the line between machine and demon. Warp storms and other astronomical phenomena periodically cut off large areas of space from the Emperor's light. These regions, left to fend for themselves, often saw the rise of alternative power structures, including chaos cults that stepped in to fill the void left by absent Imperial authorities. The efforts of Chaos Space Marine warbands and other external chaos forces provided support and direction to many fledgling cults. Veterans of the long war against the Imperium lent their experience and resources to mortal cultists, dramatically increasing the threat posed by these organizations. Certain regions of space, such as the Eye of Terror and the Maelstrom, served as constant sources of chaos corruption. Their proximity warped reality and weakened the barriers between real space and the warp, making nearby systems particularly susceptible to demonic influence and cult activities. The very teachings of the Imperial cult, with its focus on self-denial and unquestioning obedience, created a psychological environment that paradoxically left many vulnerable to the temptations of chaos. The promise of freedom from oppressive doctrines and the allure of forbidden pleasures proved particularly potent for those raised in the most restrictive interpretations of Imperial faith. Ancient artifacts and texts, remnants of humanity's long history, occasionally resurfaced, bringing with them knowledge of old heresies and forbidden rituals. These relics, sought after by scholars and collectors, often served as catalysts for the formation of new cults or the resurrection of long-dormant ones. The Inquisition's necessarily secretive nature and extreme methods sometimes backfired, creating an atmosphere of fear and mistrust that drove some citizens into the arms of cults promising protection and understanding. Overzealous purges could leave survivors bitter and resentful, primed for corruption. Xenos influences, while not directly related to chaos, often weakened Imperial control and created conditions conducive to cult formation. Genestealer infestations, for example, could destabilize planetary governments and social structures, creating power vacuums that chaos cults could exploit. The sheer size and complexity of the Imperium made comprehensive monitoring and control impossible. This decentralization, while necessary for governance, allowed divergent beliefs and practices to develop, some of which veered into heretical territory. Philosophical and theological debates within the ecclesiarchy and other imperial institutions occasionally spilled over into wider society, creating schisms and splinter groups. Some of these, in their search for deeper truths, strayed into heretical territory and fell under the sway of chaos. The evolution of chaos cults follows a distinct pattern, often beginning with a single individual's corruption and culminating in planet-wide insurgencies. This progression, while not universal, provides a framework for understanding how these insidious organizations take root and flourish within imperial society. Initially, a cult may form around a charismatic individual who has come into contact with chaos knowledge or artifacts. This founder, driven by ambition, curiosity, or desperation, begins to explore forbidden lore and commune with warp entities. As their power grows, they attract a small circle of confidants, forming the cult's core. In its nascent stages, the cult operates with extreme secrecy, meeting in hidden locations and communicating through coded messages. Members are carefully vetted and slowly indoctrinated, with many unaware of the true nature of their involvement. The cult may masquerade as a benign organization, such as a charitable foundation or scholarly society, to avoid suspicion. As numbers grow, the cult begins to extend its influence within local power structures. Members are encouraged to seek positions of authority in government, law enforcement, and key industries. This infiltration provides protection from discovery and access to resources necessary for expansion. Rituals become more elaborate and frequent as the cult gains strength. What begins as simple gatherings for meditation or discussion evolves into complex ceremonies involving sacrifices and attempts to manifest warp energies. These rites serve to bind members more closely to the cult and to their demonic patrons. The acquisition of weapons and the formation of militant cells mark a significant escalation. Cultists begin training in combat techniques, often under the guise of self-defense classes or sports clubs. Armories are established in secret locations, stockpiling everything from basic firearms to more exotic weaponry. Parallel to military preparations, many cults focus on expanding their economic power. Front companies are established, and existing businesses are infiltrated or acquired. These commercial ventures serve multiple purposes, generating funds, providing cover for cult activities, and creating networks for moving people and materials undetected. As the cult's confidence grows, it may begin to eliminate potential threats. Rival organizations are undermined or destroyed, while individuals who pose a risk of exposing the cult's activities are silenced. These actions are carried out with increasing boldness, though still maintaining a veneer of plausible deniability. The corruption of psychers marks a dangerous turning point. Unsanctioned psychics are sought out and indoctrinated, their powers honed through forbidden techniques. These individuals become conduits for warp energies, capable of performing feats that further cement the cult's power and attract new followers. With a strong foundation established, the cult begins to spread beyond its initial area of influence. New cells are formed in neighboring regions, each operating semi-autonomously but linked to the central leadership. This expansion may cross planetary boundaries, with cultists using interstellar trade and pilgrimage routes to carry their taint to new worlds. As its power base solidifies, the cult may initiate more overt actions against Imperial authorities. Sabotage of critical infrastructure, assassination of key officials, and incitement of civil unrest become more frequent. These activities serve both to weaken Imperial control and to create chaos in which the cult can thrive. The manifestation of demonic entities, even in limited forms, signifies a major advancement in the cult's capabilities. These occurrences, whether intentional summonings or spontaneous appearances due to weakened reality, provide tangible proof of the cult's power to its members and potential recruits. In systems where multiple cults operate, a period of conflict often ensues as rival factions vie for dominance. This infighting may lead to a winnowing of weaker cults and the emergence of a unified, more powerful organization. Alternatively, it can result in a fragmented landscape of competing heresies, each seeking to outdo the others in devotion to their dark gods. As the cult's influence reaches its zenith, plans for open rebellion are set in motion. Sleeper cells are activated, hidden arsenals are unveiled, and demonic rituals are performed on a massive scale. The resulting uprising can range from a swift, coordinated takeover to a protracted civil war that leaves the world in ruins. In the aftermath of a successful rebellion, the cult faces the challenge of consolidating its power. Some worlds are transformed into nightmarish hellscapes, dedicated to a particular chaos god, while others may maintain a facade of normalcy to avoid Imperial retribution. In either case, the planet becomes a staging ground for further corruption and a potential beachhead for chaos invasions. Throughout this progression, the cult must constantly adapt to avoid detection by Imperial authorities. Techniques for concealment evolve, from simple code words and hidden symbols in early stages to complex psychic obfuscation and reality warping effects as the cult grows in power. This cat-and-mouse game with loyalist forces shapes the cult's development, fostering paranoia and resilience in equal measure. The timeline for this evolution varies greatly depending on circumstances. In some cases, particularly in isolated or poorly governed regions, a cult may progress from inception to planetary domination within a few generations. In other instances, especially on worlds with strong imperial presence, cults may operate in the shadows for centuries before revealing themselves. This chronicle of corruption illustrates the insidious nature of chaos cults and the existential threat they pose to imperial rule. From humble beginnings to world-shaking rebellions, these organizations exemplify the constant battle between order and entropy that defines the Warhammer 40,000 universe. The pivotal moment in the annals of chaos cults often comes with the manifestation of a greater demon, a direct avatar of one of the chaos gods. This cataclysmic event, known as a demonic incursion, represents the culmination of years, sometimes centuries, of preparation and ritual. On the hive world of Atropos IV, the cult of ethereal whispers had long worked in secret, its tendrils reaching into every stratum of society. For generations, they had conducted rituals, gathering psychic energy and weakening the barriers between real space and the warp. The cult's leader, a former administratum adept named Silas Vorn, had been guided by visions of a vast, ever-changing labyrinth that he believed held the key to unlimited power. As the planet's tricentennial celebration approached, the cult saw its opportunity. Imperial attention was focused on the grand festivities, security stretched thin across the sprawling hive cities. Vorn and his inner circle began the final ritual, a complex ceremony that required simultaneous actions at key ley line intersections across the planet. As the ritual reached its crescendo, reality itself began to warp. The skies above Atropos IV turned a sickly purple, shot through with veins of lightning that moved in impossible patterns. Panic spread through the population as gravity fluctuated wildly and buildings began to reshape themselves into twisted non-Euclidean forms. In the central plaza of Hive Primus, where the planetary governor was to give his address, the fabric of reality tore open. From this yawning portal emerged a being of pure chaos, a lord of change, greatest of Tzeentch's greater demons. Its mere presence caused those nearby to lose their sanity, their minds unable to comprehend the entity before them. The demon, calling itself Zarethok the Inevitable, spoke directly into the minds of every human on the planet. It offered a choice: embrace the gift of chaos and be transformed, or resist and be destroyed. As it spoke, waves of mutating energy radiated outward, twisting loyal citizens into grotesque forms while empowering those who willingly accepted the change. Imperial forces, caught off guard by the sudden incursion, struggled to mount an effective response. The Planetary Defense Force found their weapons ineffective against the demon and its followers, many of whom now wielded sorceress powers. Astropathic calls for aid were distorted by the warp energies saturating the planet. Their pleas for help transformed into maddening screams that drove recipients insane. As the incursion spread, the very landscape of Atropos IV began to change. Hive spires melted and reformed into impossible geometries, while vast chasms opened up, revealing glimpses of the roiling warp beneath. The planet's moons shattered, their fragments forming a swirling vortex in the sky that served as a permanent portal to the realm of chaos. Silas Vorn, now transformed into an exalted champion of Tzeentch, stood at the demon's side as it began to enact a grand plan centuries in the making. The Lord of Change revealed that Atropos IV sat at a critical juncture in the galaxy's psychic ley lines. By corrupting this nexus point, they could create a cascade effect that would weaken the barriers between real space and the warp across an entire sector. As news of the incursion finally broke through the psychic interference, the response from the wider Imperium was swift and merciless. An inquisitorial task force, accompanied by elements of the Grey Knight's Space Marine chapter, arrived in system prepared to enact exterminatus if necessary. What followed was a desperate battle against time. The Grey Knights, immune to the corrupting influence of chaos, spearheaded an assault on the demon's stronghold. Meanwhile, inquisitorial agents worked to unravel the complex sorceries maintaining the warp breach, knowing that banishing Zarethok was the key to saving the planet and potentially the sector. The final confrontation took place in a reality-warped version of the Governor's Palace, now a mind-bending labyrinth of shifting corridors and impossible spaces. The Grey Knights, led by Brother Captain Artemis, fought their way through hordes of demons and mutated cultists, their Nemesis Force weapons cleaving through warp-spawned flesh and banishing lesser entities back to the Imperium. As the battle raged, a team of inquisitorial psychers and tech priests worked to disrupt the psychic matrix empowering the demon. They faced not only physical dangers, but also the risk of mental corruption, their minds assailed by the chaotic energies permeating the area. In a climactic moment, Brother Captain Artemis confronted Zarathok directly. The duel between the Grey Knight and the Lord of Change was a spectacle of psychic might and martial skill, their conflict rippling through both physical and immaterial planes. As Artemis landed the killing blow with his Nemesis Force sword, the inquisitorial team completed their ritual, creating a feedback loop that banished the demon and sealed the warp breach. With the greater demon vanquished and the portal closed, the remaining cultists found their powers greatly diminished. Imperial forces, bolstered by waves of reinforcements, began the grueling task of purging the planet of chaos taint. The cost was enormous. Entire hive cities had to be leveled, and millions of potentially corrupted citizens were put to the sword. This event, which came to be known as the Atropos Incursion, served as a chilling reminder of the threat posed by chaos cults. It demonstrated how quickly a single planet could fall, and how devastating the consequences could be for an entire sector. In the aftermath, the Inquisition redoubled its efforts to root out hidden cults, while planetary governors across the Imperium were put on high alert for signs of demonic activity. The Atropos Incursion stands as a turning point in the eternal war against chaos, a stark illustration of the horrors that lurk just beyond the thin veil of reality. It serves as both a cautionary tale and a call to vigilance for all those who stand against the ruinous powers that seek to unmake the Imperium of man. The aftermath of a chaos cult's exposure and subsequent purge sends shockwaves through Imperial society, leaving indelible marks on the affected world and beyond. In the wake of such heretical uprisings, a series of profound changes unfold, reshaping the political, social, and spiritual landscape of the Imperium. Immediately following the suppression of a cult, Imperial authorities typically implement stringent security measures. Curfews, mandatory identity checks, and restricted travel become commonplace. Surveillance networks are expanded, with servo skulls and cherubim observers becoming ubiquitous in urban centers. These actions, while necessary for rooting out remaining cultists, often foster an atmosphere of paranoia and mistrust among the populace. The ecclesiarchy seizes upon the opportunity to reassert its influence. Preachers fan out across affected areas, their fiery sermons warning against the dangers of heresy and reaffirming the importance of unwavering faith in the Emperor. Attendance at devotional services skyrockets as citizens seek to prove their loyalty and find solace in familiar rituals. In some cases, this religious fervor leads to the spontaneous formation of militant orders dedicated to rooting out perceived corruption. Inquisitorial presence becomes a permanent fixture in regions touched by cult activity. Agents of the Ordo Hereticus establish long-term operations, scrutinizing every aspect of local governance and society for signs of lingering taint. This ongoing investigation can last for decades, with entire generations growing up under the watchful eyes of the Emperor's most dedicated servants. The psychological impact on the population is profound and long-lasting. Survivors of cult activity often struggle with guilt, shame, and fear of contamination. Support groups and specialized ministries emerge to help these individuals, but many never fully recover. A pervasive sense of suspicion takes root, with neighbors watching neighbors for any hint of abnormal behavior. Economic repercussions ripple outward from the affected area. Trade routes are disrupted as nearby systems implement quarantine measures to prevent the spread of heretical influence. Industries associated with the cult, even tangentially, face boycotts and increased scrutiny. In severe cases, entire Forge worlds may be temporarily shut down for extensive purification rites, causing supply chain issues across multiple sectors. Political upheaval is almost inevitable in the wake of a cult's discovery. Local leadership is often replaced wholesale, with outsiders brought in to ensure no trace of corruption remains. This changing of the guard can lead to shifts in planetary policy, sometimes resulting in harsher, more oppressive regimes justified as necessary precautions against future heresy. The Adeptus Arbites significantly expand their presence, establishing new precincts and increasing patrols. Special task forces are formed to investigate potential cult activities, often adopting aggressive tactics in their zeal to prevent another uprising. This heightened law enforcement presence can lead to increased tensions with the civilian population, particularly in areas already prone to unrest. Education systems undergo rigorous overhauls. Curricula are scrutinized for any content that might be construed as promoting independent thought or questioning imperial doctrine. Historical records related to the cult's activities are often expunged, creating a sanitized narrative that emphasizes the Imperium's swift and righteous response while downplaying the extent of the heretical infection. Architectural changes reflect the new reality. Defensive structures become more prominent in urban planning, with checkpoints and fortifications integrated into city designs. Places of worship are fortified, transformed into citadels of faith capable of withstanding sieges. Buildings associated with cult activity are typically demolished, the ground consecrated, and imposing monuments to imperial loyalty erected in their place. The Adeptus Mechanicus often takes a keen interest in worlds touched by chaos, seeking to understand and counteract any technological corruption. This can lead to widespread audits of machine spirits and purification rites for crucial systems. In some instances, certain technologies may be permanently restricted or removed from circulation, deemed too susceptible to chaotic influence. Our astro-telepathic choirs undergo extensive screening and reinforcement. The risk of psychic contamination necessitates the implementation of new safeguards, sometimes resulting in reduced communication efficiency as messages are subject to multiple layers of scrutiny before transmission. Recruitment drives for various Imperial organizations intensify. The Imperial Guard sees an influx of volunteers eager to prove their loyalty, while Shola Progenium facilities expand to accommodate an increase in orphans created by cult purges. Even Space Marine chapters may step up their selection processes, seeking potential aspirants who have demonstrated unwavering faith in the face of chaotic temptation. Nearby Forge worlds often implement new production protocols, incorporating additional wards and blessings into their manufacturing processes. This can result in decreased output, but is deemed necessary to ensure that no tainted materials find their way into Imperial supply chains. The Officio Assassinorum may maintain a covert presence long after the overt threat has been neutralized. Operatives from various temples work to eliminate cultists who manage to escape the initial purge, sometimes tracking targets across multiple systems in their relentless hunt. Planetary defense forces undergo comprehensive reorganization and retraining. New doctrines are implemented to better recognize and combat cult uprisings, with an emphasis on rapid response and containment strategies. In some cases, regiments tainted by association with cult activities may be disbanded entirely, their members subjected to rigorous screening before being allowed to re-enlist. Implications for interstellar travel are significant. Warp routes passing near affected areas may be temporarily closed or subject to increased Geller field requirements. Navigator houses implement new protocols for detecting warp anomalies, potentially linked to cult activities. The ripple effects of a major cult uprising can influence Imperial policy on a sector-wide scale. Neighboring systems often implement preemptive measures, leading to a general tightening of controls and increased vigilance across entire regions of space. This heightened state of alert can persist for centuries, becoming an integral part of local culture and governance. Chaos cults employ a diverse array of technologies and tactics, often blending arcane sorcery with corrupted imperial tech. Their methods are as varied as the chaos gods they serve, each cult developing unique approaches to spreading their influence and combating Imperial forces. Cultists frequently utilize symbols and sigils imbued with warp energy. These markings, when properly activated, can serve as conduits for chaotic power, weakening reality's fabric or enhancing the abilities of those bearing them. Advanced cults may develop living runes that writhe and shift, their meanings changing to evade Imperial decryption efforts. Weaponry among cultists ranges from crude, improvised arms to sophisticated warp-touched devices. Some cults specialize in corrupting standard Imperial equipment, creating guns that fire demon-infused rounds or chainswords that hunger for souls. Others craft entirely new weapons, such as sonic disruptors that liquefy organs or flesh melters that transform victims into gibbering spawn. Biological manipulation is a hallmark of many Nurgle-aligned cults. These groups engineer virulent plagues, each strain designed to target specific populations or achieve particular effects. Some viruses might induce mutations beneficial to the cult, while others simply spread decay and despair. Plague engines, mobile laboratories teeming with noxious experiments, serve as both weapons and incubators for new diseases. Slaaneshi cults often employ sensory manipulation technologies. Psychoactive drugs, neural stimulators, and empathic resonators are used to break down mental barriers and induce states of extreme suggestibility. More advanced groups might develop devices capable of broadcasting waves of pure pleasure or pain across entire hive blocks, sowing chaos or recruiting new followers en masse. Tzeentchian cults focus on information warfare and reality manipulation. They create cogitators capable of predicting future events with uncanny accuracy, giving them a strategic edge in planning operations. Some develop technology to create localized warp rifts, allowing for short-range teleportation or the summoning of lesser demons as shock troops. Khornate cults, while often favoring direct combat, are not without their technological innovations. Blood-fueled engines power their war machines, while frenzy-inducing stimulants and pain amplifiers drive cultists into berserker rages. Some develop armor that becomes stronger as it absorbs the blood of slain enemies, creating nigh-invulnerable warriors in prolonged battles. Psychic technology features prominently in many cults' arsenals. Psi amplifiers boost the powers of cult psychers, while null fields generated by reversed Culexus tech can create dead zones to hide from Imperial psychers. Some cults develop devices to store and redirect psychic energy, allowing even non-psychers to wield warp-based abilities. Stealth and infiltration technologies are crucial for cults operating in heavily policed Imperial worlds. Hololithic disguise generators, pheromone modulators, and mimetic skin grafts allow cultists to move undetected among loyal citizens. More exotic devices might bend light around the user or temporarily phase them out of reality altogether. Demonic possession is both a tactic and a technology for many cults. Rituals and devices are developed to facilitate the possession of machinery, creating demon engines that combine the worst aspects of technology and warp entities. Some cults extend this to willing human hosts, creating living weapons that can pass undetected until the moment of activation. Warp-based communication methods allow cults to coordinate over vast distances while evading Imperial surveillance. Psychic choirs, demonic messengers, and devices that transmit through the Imperium itself ensure that cult cells can maintain contact even when standard communication channels are monitored or disrupted. Temporal manipulation, while rare and incredibly dangerous, is pursued by some of the most ambitious cults. Devices that create localized time distortions can age opponents to dust or rewind injuries. More powerful artifacts might offer glimpses of possible futures or even limited time travel, though such technology is notoriously unstable and often leads to the cult's own downfall. Biomechanical augmentation is common among cult elite. Cybernetic enhancements imbued with demonic essences grant superhuman abilities while binding the recipient more closely to their chaotic patrons. These augmentations often reflect the cult's allegiance, Nurglite implants might continuously generate and release toxins, while Kornata enhancements increase strength and aggression. Reality warping technologies, often indistinguishable from sorcery to the uninitiated, are prized possessions of advanced cults. Devices that can alter probability, change fundamental physical laws within a limited area, or even create pocket dimensions serve both as powerful weapons and as tools for evading imperial justice. Psychological warfare tactics are refined to an art form by many cults. They employ subliminal messaging in public broadcasts, mimetic viruses that spread through social networks, and hallucinogenic agents released into water supplies. These methods are designed to break down social cohesion, sow doubt in imperial institutions, and make populations more susceptible to chaotic influence. Ritual technology forms the backbone of many cult operations. Complex arrays of sigil-etched stones might be used to channel warp energy across planetary ley lines, while sacrificial altars double as powerful cogitators, processing data through the lens of chaotic logic. Some cults develop portable ritual sites, allowing them to quickly establish centers of power in new locations. Adaptive camouflage extends beyond mere visual concealment. Advanced cults develop methods to mask their psychic signatures, employ quantum entanglement to hide their activities from divination, and use reality-bending fields to ensure their strongholds appear as nothing more than abandoned ruins to outside observers. In the annals of chaos cults, certain figures rise to infamous prominence, their deeds etched into the nightmares of imperial citizens and the classified reports of the Inquisition. These individuals, whether revered cult leaders or notorious adversaries, shape the course of heretical uprisings and the Imperium's response to them. Magos Viladrus, once a respected Adeptus Mechanicus researcher, became one of the most dangerous cult leaders in recent history. His fall began with an obsession with improving the human form through cybernetic enhancement. This pursuit led him to experiment with warp-infused technology, eventually attracting the attention of Tzench. Viladrus's cult, the Omnissiah's unveiled truth, spread through Forge worlds like a virus, corrupting machine spirits and turning loyal tech priests into agents of change. His greatest creation, the Flux engines, could rewrite reality on a localized scale, turning entire hab blocks into mindscape labyrinths. On the opposite side stands Inquisitor Ilara Voss, a relentless hunter of chaos cults. Born on a world ravaged by cultist uprisings, Voss dedicated her life to eradicating the taint of chaos. Her methods are as ruthless as they are effective, often involving the destruction of entire cities to eliminate a single cult cell. Voss is known for her mastery of counter-sorcery and her ability to turn captured cultists into unwitting informants through a combination of psychic interrogation and neural reprogramming. The Crimson Prophet, a figure shrouded in mystery, has been linked to Kornata cult activities across multiple sectors. This enigmatic leader is said to possess the ability to incite bloodlust in even the most docile populations. Imperial scholars debate whether the Crimson Prophet is a single individual or a title passed down through generations of cult leaders. Regardless, the wake of carnage left by this figure's followers has destabilized entire planetary governments. Archmagos biologist Xerxes Fane gained notoriety for his creation of the Morphic Plague. Once a celebrated genius in the field of genetics, Fane's experiments with tyrannid biosamples led him down a dark path. His obsession with evolutionary perfection eventually drew the gaze of Nurgle. The Morphic Plague, a constantly mutating disease that adapts to overcome any resistance, has been unleashed on dozens of worlds. Fane himself is said to have ascended to demonhood, his form a ever-changing mass of writhing flesh and chitinous appendages. Sister Amarantha, formerly of the Adepta Sororitas, stands as a cautionary tale of how even the most faithful can fall to chaos. Her descent began after exposure to a Slaneshi artifact during a purge of a pleasure cult. Amarantha's fall corrupted her entire order, transforming a convent of battle sisters into the Sisterhood of Exquisite Rapture. Her ability to twist faith into heresy has made her one of the most dangerous cult leaders in the Imperium. Lord Inquisitor Cryptman, while not a cultist himself, became a controversial figure in the fight against Chaos. His extreme methods, including the exterminatus of multiple worlds suspected of cult activity, led to his eventual excommunication from the Inquisition. Some view him as a necessary evil, while others see his actions as bordering on heretical in their extremity. The Whispering Lady, a name that sends chills through Imperial nobility, is believed to be a powerful Tzeentchian sorceress. Her modus operandi involves infiltrating the dreams of influential individuals, planting seeds of ambition and paranoia that blossom into full-blown conspiracies. Entire sectors have been thrown into turmoil by her subtle manipulations, with planetary governors turning against each other based on nightmares and half-remembered whispers. Fabricator Lucrius of the Lathes sector became infamous for creating the Omniphage virus, a digital corruption that turns machine spirits to the service of chaos. His cult, the Disciples of the Twisted Cog, seeks to merge flesh, machine, and demon into a new form of existence. Lucrius himself is more machine than man, his body a nightmarish fusion of cybernetics and demonic essence. On the Loyalist side, Chapter Master Hezekiah of the Iron Warden Space Marines has become legendary for his campaigns against chaos cults. His chapter specializes in rooting out entrenched cult activity, combining relentless assault tactics with sophisticated counterintelligence operations. Hezekiah's most famous victory came during the Purge of Sanctus Reach, where he personally slew 7 cult leaders in a single battle. The entity known as the Hollow King presents a unique threat. Neither fully demon nor mortal, this being is believed to be the result of a failed ascension ritual. The Hollow King can possess multiple bodies simultaneously, making it nearly impossible to truly destroy. Its cult, the Court of Empty Crowns, spreads nihilistic philosophies that undermine the very foundations of imperial society. Magos Explorador Thule, once renowned for his discoveries of archaeotech, fell to the lure of forbidden knowledge. His cult, the Seekers of Forgotten Lore, operates under the guise of legitimate archaeological expeditions. Thule's ability to unearth and activate long-dormant technologies has caused several tomb worlds to awaken prematurely, adding Xenos threats to the chaos he already spreads. The Pale Confessor, a former ecclesiarchy priest, leads the Church of Blessed Delirium. This Nurglite cult spreads its influence through corrupted acts of charity, offering miraculous healing to the desperate while infecting them with seeds of spiritual decay. The Confessor's sermons are said to induce states of religious ecstasy that leave listeners susceptible to chaos corruption. Inquisitor Lord Valerius stands as a bulwark against cult activities in the Calixis sector. His unorthodox methods include maintaining a network of reformed cultists as informants and using captured chaos artifacts to hunt down their creators. While effective, these tactics have put him at odds with more Puritan elements of the Inquisition. The Librarian Eternus, a title held by the leader of the Thousand Sons Warband, known as the Scrollbearers, orchestrates cult activities across multiple sectors. This powerful sorcerer uses bound demonic entities to possess and control key cult leaders, creating a vast network of unwitting pawns. The Librarian's ultimate goal appears to be the compilation of a grand grimoire of forbidden knowledge, with each cult contributing a page to this damning tome. Despite the Imperium's relentless efforts to eradicate chaos cults, many enigmas surrounding these heretical organizations remain unsolved. These mysteries not only frustrate Imperial authorities, but also serve to perpetuate the allure and terror of cult activities across the galaxy. The true origins of the Scribed Shadows, a cult that has plagued the Calixis sector for millennia, continue to baffle inquisitorial investigators. This organization seems to predate Imperial records, with evidence of its influence found in ancient ruins predating human colonization. Some theorize that the cult may have Xenos roots, possibly linked to a long-extinct species that once ruled the sector. Others posit that it might be a manifestation of the sector's collective unconscious, a psychic entity given form through belief and fear. The nature of the Crimson Reliquary, an artifact of immense power, remains hotly debated among both cultists and inquisitors. This object, said to contain the essence of a bound greater demon, has been the focus of numerous cult uprisings and inquisitorial purges. Its appearance changes with each sighting, sometimes described as a book, other times as a weapon or a crown. The true form and capabilities of the Crimson Reliquary remain unknown, as does its current location. The phenomenon known as the Whispering Tide presents a unique challenge to Imperial forces combating cult activities. Periodically, entire populations across multiple worlds simultaneously report hearing whispers that incite rebellion and heresy. These events seem to have no discernible pattern or point of origin, leading some to speculate about a vast, unknown network of psychic amplifiers hidden across the galaxy. Others believe it may be the work of an unknown warp entity attempting to breach into real space. The fate of the lost inquisitorial team led by Interrogator Malkuth on Tartarus Prime remains a subject of intense speculation. Sent to investigate reports of cult activity in the planet's sprawling underhive, the team vanished without a trace. Subsequent investigations have turned up conflicting evidence, with some reports suggesting the team was corrupted and now leads the very cult they were sent to destroy, while others indicate they may have uncovered a truth so horrifying that the entire planet was placed under quarantine. The true purpose of the geometric patterns found at many cult sites across the Segmentum Obscurus continues to elude Imperial scholars. These intricate designs, etched into stone or laid out across vast distances, seem to serve no immediate ritualistic purpose, yet are consistently present in areas of high cult activity. Some tech priests hypothesize that they may be components of a vast, sector-spanning machine designed to channel warp energies. Others believe they could be a form of psychic code, hiding messages or power within their mathematical precision. The identity and origins of the entity known as the Faceless Saint remain shrouded in mystery. This figure, revered by numerous cults across the Imperium, is said to appear during times of great upheaval, bearing prophecies and performing miracles that defy Imperial doctrine. Descriptions of the Faceless Saint vary wildly, with some depicting it as a benevolent guide and others as a harbinger of destruction. The Ordo Hereticus has made capturing or unmasking this entity a priority, believing it may be key to understanding the spread of certain cult ideologies. The mechanism behind the synchronized cult uprisings known as the Hexad Revolt continues to perplex Imperial strategists. 6 times over the past millennium, cult activities have spiked simultaneously across 6 worlds in 6 different sectors, each time following a distinct pattern that seems to defy coincidence. The precise nature of the coordination involved, especially given the vast distances between these events, remains unexplained. The source of the incorruptible black stone used in certain cult rituals is a matter of ongoing investigation. This material, distinct from the black stone used in pylons and fortress construction, seems to absorb warp energies without being tainted. Cults use it to create foci for their rituals, while some inquisitors have begun experimenting with it for protective amulets. Its origin remains unknown, with theories ranging from a naturally occurring mineral to a byproduct of ancient Xenos technology. The true extent of cult infiltration within the Adeptus Mechanicus is a closely guarded secret, even within the organization itself. Periodic purges and the discovery of corrupted Forge worlds hint at a deeper, more systemic problem. Some within the Inquisition fear that an entire subsect of the Mechanicus may have fallen to chaos, hiding in plain sight behind a veil of loyal service to the Omnissiah. The nature and purpose of the psychic construct known as the Labyrinth of Whispers continue to elude Imperial psychers. This ethereal maze, accessible only through specific meditative techniques or forbidden rituals, seems to exist as a separate realm within the warp. Those who claim to have navigated it speak of hidden knowledge and terrible truths, but also of an ever-present danger that hunts intruders. Whether it is a naturally occurring warp phenomenon, a creation of some ancient psyker, or something else entirely remains unknown. The disappearance of entire cult populations, sometimes numbering in the millions, has occurred several times throughout Imperial history. In these instances, cult members vanish en masse, leaving behind empty cities and inexplicable evidence of their activities. Theories range from mass suicides to successful mass ascensions to demonhood, but no conclusive explanation has been found. The cyclical nature of certain cult resurgences, particularly those aligned with Tzeentch, has led some inquisitors to propose the existence of a grand, overarching plan spanning millennia. This theory suggests that seemingly unconnected cult activities across time and space may be part of a vast, incomprehensible scheme orchestrated by the chaos god of change. The implications of such a plan, if it exists, are too horrifying for most to contemplate. The origin and purpose of the Codex Tenebris, a tome of forbidden knowledge that seems to appear and disappear throughout history, remain a subject of intense debate. This book, said to contain the collective wisdom and prophecies of countless cult leaders, has been the catalyst for numerous uprisings. Its contents reportedly change with each appearance, adapting to the reader's deepest desires and fears. Whether it is a single mutable artifact or a series of similar books is unknown. The enduring presence of chaos cults within the Imperium of Man serves as a constant reminder of the fragility of human civilization in the face of cosmic horrors. These insidious organizations, despite countless purges and unceasing vigilance, continue to thrive in the shadows, their influence reaching far beyond their immediate acts of heresy and rebellion. The long-term impact of cult activities on Imperial worlds manifests in myriad ways. Planets that have experienced significant cult uprisings often bear lasting scars, both physical and metaphysical. Regions tainted by warp energies may remain uninhabitable for generations, serving as grim monuments to the power of chaos. These areas frequently become focal points for future cult activities, drawing those susceptible to chaos's lure like moths to a flame. Societal changes in the wake of cult suppressions can be equally profound. Populations that have witnessed the horrors of demonic incursions or felt the oppressive weight of inquisitorial scrutiny develop a heightened sense of paranoia and religious fervor. This atmosphere of constant suspicion, while potentially beneficial in rooting out heresy, also stifles innovation and free thought, contributing to the Imperium's stagnation. The psychological toll on Imperial citizens cannot be overstated. Those who have encountered cult activities, even peripherally, often suffer from long-lasting trauma. This collective trauma can manifest in increased rates of mental illness, substance abuse, and social dysfunction, creating fertile ground for future cult recruitment among the disenfranchised and desperate. Economically, the aftermath of cult activities can reverberate through entire sectors. Worlds known to have harbored significant cult presences often face centuries of reduced trade and increased imperial tithes as penance. This economic strain can lead to a cycle of poverty and unrest, inadvertently creating conditions favorable for new cult formations. The Adeptus Mechanicus, in its eternal quest for knowledge and technology, sometimes finds itself grappling with the consequences of cult-tainted discoveries. Forge worlds that have experienced cult infiltrations may produce subtly corrupted technology for years before the taint is detected, potentially spreading chaos influence to unsuspecting worlds across the galaxy. Within the Inquisition, the ongoing battle against chaos cults has led to philosophical schisms and methodological debates that shape the organization's approach to threat management. The balance between preemptive action and reactive response, the ethical considerations of mass purges versus surgical strikes, and the use of captured cult artifacts in counter-operations all remain contentious issues. The imperial cult itself has been profoundly influenced by its eternal struggle against chaos worship. Doctrinal shifts often occur in response to particularly insidious heresies, sometimes incorporating aspects of cult beliefs in sanitized forms to better combat their appeal. This gradual evolution of imperial dogma, while necessary for the faith's survival, also reflects the subtle, long-term impact of chaos on the very institutions sworn to oppose it. Space Marine chapters, particularly those with a history of combating cult uprisings, often develop specialized tactics and equipment for anti-cult operations. These adaptations can significantly alter a chapter's combat doctrine and recruitment practices, sometimes leading to increased scrutiny from other Imperial organizations wary of chaos taint. The Astra Militarum's approach to warfare has also been shaped by experiences fighting cult-induced rebellions. New training protocols emphasizing vigilance against subversion and resistance to chaos corruption have been implemented across many regiments. Some worlds with histories of cult activity have seen their tithe grades increased, forced to provide more soldiers to the Imperial war machine as a form of ongoing penance. In the realm of Imperial governance, the threat of cult infiltration has led to increasingly Byzantine bureaucratic structures designed to prevent any single individual from accumulating too much power. While intended as a safeguard, this often results in painfully slow decision-making processes that can handicap the Imperium's ability to respond swiftly to emerging threats. The perpetual conflict with chaos cults has driven significant advancements in Imperial technology, particularly in the fields of psychic detection and warp energy containment. Innovations born from the necessity of combating cult activities have found applications in other areas of Imperial life, from enhancing astropathic communications to improving Geller field technologies. Astrographically, the distribution of known cult activities has influenced Imperial expansion and colonization policies. Sectors with histories of significant cult presence often see reduced colonization efforts and increased military fortification, altering the pattern of human settlement across the galaxy. The ongoing struggle against chaos cults serves as a crucible for Imperial heroes, forging legendary Inquisitors, Space Marines, and Imperial Guard commanders whose exploits inspire future generations. Conversely, the most notorious cult leaders become dark legends, their names used to frighten children and warn against the dangers of heresy. Perhaps most profoundly, the existence of chaos cults forces the Imperium to confront the darkest aspects of human nature. The knowledge that any citizen, no matter how loyal, could potentially fall to chaos's lure fosters a culture of constant self-examination and suspicion that defines much of Imperial society. As the Imperium faces ever-growing threats from without, the insidious danger posed by chaos cults from within remains a constant, gnawing concern. The resources devoted to combating this internal menace, while necessary, inevitably weaken humanity's ability to present a united front against Xenos invasions and other external perils. In the grand tapestry of the Imperium's history, chaos cults represent persistent threads of disorder and destruction. Their legacy is one of worlds lost, populations culled, and a paradise of reason and progress forever denied to humanity. Yet in facing this relentless foe, the Imperium also finds purpose and unity, rallying its disparate factions against a common enemy that embodies everything they stand against. The eternal vigilance required to combat chaos cults serves as both the Imperium's greatest strength and its most tragic necessity. In the grim darkness of the far future, where there is only war, the battle against the enemy within remains as crucial as any fought on distant battlefields, shaping the destiny of humanity in ways both seen and unseen.